journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and that every journey has a destination. I want to add to that and say a journey without a plan makes you a wanderer. 8 years ago, I embarked on a journey that I am still on today. It's filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. I wandered aimlessly for a while, until one day I sat down and came up with a plan. A plan that allowed me to see a clear path to my goal. Would you like to know what my destination is?
Please. Yep.
To become a better speaker. Fellow Toastmasters, I don't like the expression of hate, or even like to use the word hate, but for a very long time, I have hated public speaking. I remember my introduction to public speaking. It was high school, 10th grade, oral communications class. First day of class, I made the mistake of sitting in the front row on the left-hand side of the class, closest to the door. The teacher gets up, class, I want you all to prepare a 2-minute speech and be ready next week to present it to the class. And we're going to start with this side of the room, pointing at me. I was terrified. Needless to say, that semester I received a D-. The D was just for showing up. I didn't give one speech because I was that fearful of speaking. But I knew that I had to overcome that fear somehow. I didn't want to go through life fearful of speaking because it was going to be a demise of my career. Did you know that the number one fear that people have is public speaking? Some people say it's even followed by death. Well, for me, into my adulthood, public speaking was my number one fear. But death was not close up to the top. My number 2 fear was horror movies. Raise your hand if you have ever seen The Exorcist. Okay, a few insane people in the class in here. All right. I was so afraid of public speaking that I would rather watch The Exorcist at nighttime at a graveyard in the middle of the Amazon. That's how afraid I was of public speaking. And as I said earlier, I had to improve, I had to change. And that's when I found out, just as you gentlemen did, about a group called Toastmasters. I was told that Toastmasters was a safe haven, a place where you can come and meet people, improve on speaking, networking, without having tomatoes thrown at you. And so I joined Toastmasters. My first club that I joined was a few years ago at Centerville. I remember, and I wish you were there with me when I gave my first speech. I was the number 2 speaker of the day. The number 1 speaker went up to give their icebreaker speech. And as he was walking to the front, I said a quick prayer to myself, please let him give a 20-minute speech. When I was done with my 1-minute prayer, he was done with his speech. And so they called me up to the front. Isaac Segundo giving his icebreaker speech. I approached reluctantly, and I hesitated. But I got up and I paused for about 30 seconds to a minute because I had forgotten my memorized speech. It was embarrassing. But though I went through that embarrassing moment that day, I never gave up. I came back meeting after meeting after meeting. This was a journey that I was going to finish because that's how bad I wanted to become a better speaker. And so I came up with a plan. When I first joined Toastmasters, I did wander aimlessly for about 2 years because I was new and I was trying to get acclimated to how things are done. But the day came when I knew that I wanted to improve really bad, that I sat down and I wrote down a plan. And I came up with 3 things that I did to help me to improve. Now, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I believe that one day I'll be there. And here are the 3 things that I did. The first thing that I did was, on my plan was, I craved feedback. It's important to have a mentor or to crave feedback from members of the club. Even Bill Gates in the Inc. magazine, he says, there's an article called Bill Gates, Good Feedback is the Key to Improvement. The world's richest man says everyone needs feedback beyond one-word descriptors. At a TED Talks, Gates told an audience, we all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. Gates continued, until recently, over 98% of teachers just got one word of feedback: satisfactory. If all my bridge coach ever told me was that I was satisfactory, I would have no hope of ever getting better. How would I know who was the best? How would I know what I was doing differently? So it is important to crave feedback, no matter where it is, no matter what you're doing in life. It doesn't have to be speaking. It can be anything that you want to improve on. The number 2 thing that I did was I took action as often as I could. And that action for me was I spoke as often as I could in the clubs. I took every role that I could, every time that the opportunity was given, whether it was being a Toastmasters of the day or being a general evaluator, speaking, of course. And I did it as often as I could. In Entrepreneur magazine, I forgot to write down who the author was, but the title of the article was "The One and Only Secret for Achieving Massive Success." The fact of the matter is that there are absolutely no shortcuts to accumulate massive amounts of success or to live out your dreams. And there certainly are no secrets that you don't know about. The one and only secret to success is taking persistent, massive action. And that's what I did. It even came to the point in Toastmasters that 2 times a week wasn't enough for me. So the extra action that I took, in a 25-mile radius, I'd call every Toastmasters meeting club that I know and asked if I can come speak. Some said yes and some said no. I've spoken in Woodbridge, I've spoken in Vienna, I've spoken in Chantilly. Everywhere that they would allow me to come speak, I was there. The number 3 thing that I did, and this is the most important, and this can apply in anything in life, whether you're an athlete or at your job, is to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, your mom's belief or your parents' belief, that's not going to carry you to the next level. It's the belief in yourself that matters most. In Entrepreneur magazine again, there was an article that says the incredible power of believing in yourself. Find me an extremely successful person who doesn't greatly believe in himself. It's not going to happen. Steve Jobs, Martin Luther King Jr., Michael Jordan, Elon Musk, and Mark Cuban are just a few highly successful individuals who benefited greatly from this confidence. They were only able to keep going and achieve success because of the level of belief in themselves, despite the enormous amount of failures they had experienced for years leading up to their big breakthroughs. Their belief is what caused a vision so big that they didn't care how many times they failed at something. They were eventually going to get to where they wanted to go. So those are the 3 things that I did, and I did those things consistently. I'm not standing here by chance or by luck. 8 years ago, I truly did have a plan. And because of that plan that I put in place in my journey on the way to my destination, that's why I'm able to stand here to speak. I couldn't do this a few years ago. But because of the plan that I put in place and those 3 things that I mentioned, I'm able to successfully do this today. Thank you.